The implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child remains work in progress all over the world. There is no single country, let alone a region, that can claim a moral high ground and say that we've actually fully implemented the provisions. It remains work in progress, but obviously the Convention has been an absolutely important tool in our collective efforts to create a world that is fit for children. There are few areas that government can be commended for in terms of its handling of the migration situation, but there is a very long list of issues that it needs to make significant progress on. For instance, its understanding of the best interests principle as a primary consideration in the context of migration policy. It leaves much to be desired. There are a number of occasions where a number of measures that government has done, from Operation Sovereign Borders to the regional processing centers, to the situation that children find themselves in, to the refugee swaps, and so forth, they put a very big question mark whether or not children's best interests are indeed a primary consideration in that process. One of the interesting points that the government of Australia makes is that because of the interceptions that it's been doing on the sea, because of Operation Sovereign Borders and so forth, and because of what it has been doing in relation to the regional processing centers, it's been able to increase its legal pathway, regular pathway, and humanitarian visas and so forth, as far as asylum seekers and refugees are concerned. It's an interesting observation because it seems to suggest that the implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child works in a sort of a carbon tax, as it were. That you can do something here but pay for it or make up for it somewhere else. Or that you can actually do a violation here, but as long as you do a few positive things further down the line, that would actually sanitize your violations. That's not how the Convention works. There is no international human rights instrument that works along those lines. Australia is a wealthy country. Australia is an influential country within the United Nations, and it's also an influential country here in the region. We know that it has just joined the Human Rights Council. So it's Australia's decision whether or not it wants to use this privileged position for good, for pushing the boundaries for creating a world fit for children, or to continue to undermine some of the spirits but also letters of what is contained within the Convention. At the end of the day, if Australia continues the current trajectory, particularly on the issue of migration, without a proper reflection of its obligation under the human rights framework, over time, sooner than later, it will lose its moral voice globally. As a member of the Human Rights Council, it has been indicated by your Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs that Australia would like to push the boundaries on Indigenous people's rights, on women empowerment, on LGBTI-related issues. I think Australia might be talking in relation to those issues, but as long as it doesn't have the moral high ground, there will only be very few states that will be listening to Australia. Because at the end of the day, if your human rights record is less than stellar, if it is tainted, you calling other countries on their human rights record would be what people call fish calling each other weight. It's not going to work.